Hey everybody, Kartik Subramaniam over at ADHI Schools. Welcome to our podcast. I wanted to talk today about controlling only those things that are in fact controllable. Worrying about only those things that you have the ability to change. You won't be able to change that buyer who ultimately backs out on a transaction. You won't be able to change that seller's circumstance that caused them to list with their mother-in-law or their sister or friend because blood is thicker than water. You can't control those things. But there are things you can control, like what time you get into the office, how focused you are while you're there, how hard you're working. Those are things that are totally and completely in your control. You can control your morning routine, whether you have a great workout in the morning, you're staying hydrated throughout the day, you're not drinking too much in the evening time. These are all things that you can control. And really what got me thinking about this was I had a recent client of mine come back to me here the other day, and he was going to buy a house through me about 4 or 5 years ago, and ultimately the deal fell apart. And what caused the deal to fall apart was he was getting an FHA loan to purchase a property. And with an FHA loan, you can borrow or get the down payment as a gift from, borrow is really not the right term, but you could be gifted the down payment from someone. Now in this case, the down payment was going to be gifted by his mom. And it was a really good time in this young man's life about 5 years ago because the down payment was being gifted by his mom. He had just gotten in a relatively new relationship with a wonderful girl, and he was buying a house. He was batting 1,000. And he calls me one evening about 6:30. Again, this is about 5 years ago, and says, Kartik, I'm so excited for tonight. And I said, what happened? He said, well, my mom is going to come meet me for dinner, and she's going to give me the check for the down payment, and she's going to meet my new girlfriend. So it's going to be a good night tonight. I said, you know what, man, have a good time at dinner. Call me in the morning when you get the check. I'll let the lender know, and we'll get this thing moving. Kid calls me at night about 2:30 in the morning. I guess after dinner, he had, had a couple drinks after dinner, and he was calling me completely emotionally distraught. And I said, what's wrong? And he says, I had dinner with my mom. And I said, I know. And he goes, and she met my girlfriend. And I said, okay. And she says, if I want this check for the down payment, I got to get rid of the girl. My mom hates my new girlfriend. And I said, that sounds like you're caught between a rock and a hard place. And he says, yeah, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, I gave him some advice, and he said, I'll think about it and I'll call you later. A couple days later, the kid calls me and says, Kartik, I can't buy the house anymore. I don't want to break up with my girlfriend. Deal falls apart. I can't control that. That's not something that is within my control because I can't control how his mom perceives his girlfriend. I can't control whether or not his mom is going to ultimately gift him the down payment, but I can control how many clients I have, and I can control not putting all my eggs in one basket where if one deal falls apart, I'm in a tough situation. I can control that. So the lesson here really is controlling things that are within your control and not sweating the things that are not. It's not going to be good for your health or sanity if you worry about things that aren't in your control. If you worry about things that are unable to be influenced by your actions, if you worry about things that are beyond what you can control or influence, your life is going to be much worse. So the lesson here really is, number one, make sure you have more than one customer at all times. So if one deal does fall apart, you're not left with your hat in your hand trying to figure out where your next paycheck's going to come from, number one. And number two, we got to remember as real estate professionals or entrepreneurs or business people, which nearly everyone listening to this podcast is quite likely self-employed, it is very important to control and worry about only those things that are within your control for your own sanity. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram. We'll catch you on the next one. And remember, don't sweat the things that are beyond your control. It's not healthy. Catch you on the next one.